When people imagine the most terrifying predator to ever patrol the oceans, one name almost always surfaces: Megalodon. This colossal shark, reaching lengths of up to 60 feet, has become a pop culture icon, featured in documentaries, movies, and viral illustrations showing it dwarfing modern great white sharks. While Otodus Megalodon truly was one of the largest and most formidable predators to ever exist, focusing solely on it oversimplifies a much richer and more terrifying reality. Prehistoric oceans were not ruled by a single apex predator. Instead, they were home to an entire cast of enormous, highly specialized hunters that rivaled, or in some cases exceeded, Megalodon in power, strategy, and ecological impact. Long before humans ever walked the earth, the seas were battlegrounds where evolution experimented freely with size, speed, armor, and weaponry. From massive marine reptiles to giant predatory fish and whales with crushing jaws, the oceans hosted a rotating lineup of super predators across hundreds of millions of years. Understanding these creatures not only broadens our appreciation of prehistoric life, but also reveals how dynamic and competitive ancient marine ecosystems truly were. A world before sharks ruled. To grasp why Megalodon wasn't alone at the top, it helps to zoom out and consider deep time. The oceans have existed for more than 3.8 billion years, and complex marine predators emerged long before sharks became dominant. During the Paleozoic era, roughly 541 to 352 million years ago, the seas were populated by armored fish, massive arthropods, and early jawed predators that laid the foundation for future marine giants. One of the earliest examples of a super predator was Dunkleosteus, a placoderm fish that lived around 360 million years ago during the late Devonian period. Unlike sharks, Dunkleosteus had no teeth. Instead, it possessed self-sharpening bony plates that functioned like shears. Growing up to 30 feet long and weighing several tons, it likely had one of the strongest bite forces of any fish that ever lived. In its time, Dunkleosteus sat firmly at the top of the food chain, preying on other armored fish and early sharks alike. This early dominance shows that gigantism and apex predation evolved multiple times independently in the oceans, long before Megalodon appeared on the scene. Marine reptiles, apex predators of the Mesozoic. When the dinosaurs rose on land, reptiles also conquered the seas. The Mesozoic era, 252 to 66 million years ago, is often called the Age of Dinosaurs, but it was equally an age of monstrous marine reptiles. These were not dinosaurs, but air-breathing reptiles that adapted to life in the ocean and evolved into some of the most efficient predators ever known. Among the most famous were the Mosasaurus, a giant marine lizard that lived during the late Cretaceous period. Growing up to 50 feet long, Mosasaurus was an ambush predator with a skull full of conical teeth designed to grip and swallow large prey. Fossil evidence suggests it fed on fish, ammonites, marine reptiles, and even other mosasaurs. Some species had a second set of teeth in their throats, similar to modern moray eels, preventing prey from escaping once captured. Another terrifying group was the pliosaurs. These short-necked relatives of plesiosaurs were built for power rather than elegance. Kronosaurus, one of the largest known plesiosaurs, reached lengths of over 30 feet and had a massive head armed with foot-long teeth. With 4 powerful flippers, it could accelerate rapidly, making it a devastating hunter capable of taking down large marine reptiles and fish. These reptiles ruled the oceans for tens of millions of years, long before Megalodon evolved, and they occupied the same ecological role later filled by giant predatory sharks. Giant predatory fish beyond Dunkleosteus. While Dunkleosteus is the most famous prehistoric predatory fish, it was far from the only one. As sharks diversified and bony fish became more complex, several lineages produced enormous predators that challenged sharks for dominance. One such example is Zixfactinus, a massive predatory fish from the late Cretaceous that could grow over 20 feet long. Known for its torpedo-shaped body and large mouth filled with sharp teeth, Zixfactinus was fast, aggressive, and opportunistic. A famous fossil shows a nearly intact smaller fish preserved inside its ribcage, evidence that it swallowed prey whole and sometimes bit off more than it could handle. Another contender was Leadsichthys, often cited as the largest bony fish ever to exist. Although it was a filter feeder rather than an active predator, its enormous size, possibly exceeding 50 feet, demonstrates that gigantism in the oceans was not limited to sharks or reptiles. The presence of such massive animals would have shaped marine ecosystems and influenced the behavior and evolution of predators like Megalodon. The rise of giant sharks. Sharks as a group have existed for more than 400 million years, and Megalodon was the culmination of a long evolutionary trend towards size and specialization. However, even among sharks, Megalodon was not alone in being massive and deadly. Before Megalodon, there was Otodus obliquus and Carcharodontis angustodens, large predatory sharks that appeared in the Paleogene period. These sharks already exhibited the triangular, serrated teeth that would later reach perfection in Megalodon. Their existence shows that Megalodon did not suddenly appear as a unique monster, but evolved gradually from a lineage of increasingly effective predators. Even during Megalodon's reign, the oceans were not empty of competitors. Large predatory whales were beginning to emerge, and some may have challenged Megalodon directly for prey. Predatory whales, the unexpected rivals. One of the most fascinating revelations of recent paleontology is that some ancient whales were not gentle filter feeders, but apex predators in their own right. Livyatan melvillei, a giant sperm whale from the Miocene epoch, lived at the same time as Megalodon and may have rivaled it in size and power. Livyatan had a skull over 10 feet long and the largest functional teeth of any known animal, some exceeding 14 inches. Unlike modern sperm whales, which primarily eat squid, Livyatan was built to hunt large prey, including other whales. Its massive jaw muscles suggest a crushing bite force capable of breaking bone. The idea of Megalodon sharing the oceans with a predatory whale of similar size paints a far more complex picture of prehistoric marine ecosystems. Rather than a single undisputed ruler, the seas likely hosted multiple apex predators competing for the same resources. Why so many giant predators existed? The repeated evolution of giant marine predators raises an important question: why did the oceans produce so many monsters? The answer lies in abundance and physics. Water supports large body sizes more easily than land, reducing the energy cost of gigantism. At the same time, prehistoric oceans often teemed with life: huge schools of fish, abundant marine reptiles, and later large whales. Where prey is plentiful, predators can afford to grow larger, specialize, and dominate. Mass extinctions also played a key role. When one group of apex predators disappeared, ecological niches opened, allowing new lineages to evolve into giants. The extinction of marine reptiles at the end of the Cretaceous, for example, paved the way for large sharks and whales to take over apex roles in the Cenozoic oceans. Megalodon's legacy in a crowded pantheon. Megalodon remains extraordinary, but its fame often overshadows the diversity of ancient marine predators that came before and alongside it. From armored fish and marine reptiles to predatory whales and rival sharks, the prehistoric oceans were never ruled by a single king. Instead, they were shaped by a succession of giants, each adapted to their time and environment. Recognizing this broader context does not diminish Megalodon, it enhances it. Megalodon was part of an ongoing evolutionary arms race, a chapter in a much longer story of oceanic dominance written over hundreds of millions of years. The next time you hear Megalodon described as the ultimate ocean predator, remember that it shared its legacy with many other titans. The prehistoric seas were more dangerous, more competitive, and more awe-inspiring than any single species could represent.
The Forgotten Titans and the Future of Discovery, New Edition. Beyond the most famous names, the fossil record hints at many giants we may never fully know. Paleontology is limited by preservation, chance, and discovery. The creatures we recognize today, Megalodon, Mosasaurus, Dunkleosteus, are likely only a fraction of the true diversity that once haunted ancient seas. Soft tissues rarely fossilize, entire lineages may have existed briefly, and vast stretches of prehistoric ocean floor remain unexplored. Each new fossil discovery has the potential to reshape our understanding of just how crowded and dangerous prehistoric oceans truly were. In recent decades, advances in technology have dramatically expanded our window into the past. CT scanning allows scientists to peer inside fossilized skulls without damaging them, revealing brain size, sensory adaptations, and bite mechanics. Isotopic analysis of fossil teeth can determine migration patterns, water temperatures, and even preferred prey. These techniques have revealed that many ancient predators were far more specialized than once believed. Some were pursuit hunters built for speed, others ambush predators relying on stealth, and still others bone crushers adapted to exploit heavily armored prey. This specialization suggests that multiple apex predators could coexist without direct competition. Rather than a single ruler dominating the seas, prehistoric oceans were structured like complex hierarchies. Different predators occupied overlapping but distinct niches. Some hunted near the surface, others in deep water. Some targeted fast-moving fish, others preferred slow, massive prey. This ecological partitioning allowed several giant predators to thrive simultaneously, much like modern oceans support great white sharks, orcas, and sperm whales at the same time. Another often overlooked factor is juvenile predation dynamics. Many apex predators likely targeted the young of other giant species. Juvenile marine reptiles, whales, and sharks would have been vulnerable to attack, creating a constant cycle of predation even among the largest animals. This means that being enormous did not guarantee safety, it simply changed who your enemies were. Survival depended not only on size, but on behavior, habitat choice, and reproductive strategies. The role of climate cannot be ignored. Periods of global warmth, such as the Miocene climate optimum, supported vast marine food webs capable of sustaining multiple giants. Warmer oceans increased productivity, expanded shallow seas, and created ideal conditions for large predators to evolve. Conversely, cooling events disrupted these systems. The eventual extinction of Megalodon, for example, may have been driven not by competition alone, but by climate shifts that reduced prey availability and altered migration routes. This pattern has repeated throughout Earth's history. Giants rise during times of abundance and vanish when conditions change. Marine reptiles dominated warm Mesozoic seas but disappeared after catastrophic environmental upheaval. Giant sharks flourished during the Cenozoic before declining as oceans cooled and ecosystems reorganized. Even today, modern whales face similar pressures from climate change, prey loss, and environmental disruption, reminding us that no apex predator is immune to ecological instability. There is also growing evidence that intelligence played a role in marine dominance. While reptiles and fish relied heavily on size and weaponry, mammals introduced complex social behavior, communication, and cooperation into the oceans. Predatory whales may have hunted in groups, coordinated attacks, and shared learned behaviors, advantages that raw size alone could not counter. This shift may explain why sharks like Megalodon eventually lost their ecological edge to emerging cetacean predators. Looking forward, future discoveries may reveal even larger or stranger marine predators than we currently imagine. Fragmentary fossils occasionally hint at animals exceeding known size limits, but without complete specimens, scientists remain cautious. Still, history suggests that whenever conditions allow, evolution repeatedly pushes life toward extremes. The oceans, vast and forgiving, have always been the perfect arena for such experiments. Ultimately, the story of prehistoric marine predators is not about supremacy, it is about succession. Each giant was dominant only for a time, shaped by its environment, and eventually replaced by something new. Megalodon was not the first, nor was it the last, but it stands as one of the most spectacular examples of a recurring evolutionary theme. Understanding this broader narrative transforms how we view Earth's past. The oceans were not static realms ruled by single monsters, but living systems in constant flux, where survival demanded adaptation, innovation, and resilience. Every fossil is a reminder that the sea has always been a proving ground for nature's most extreme creations. The age of ocean giants may feel distant, but its lessons remain relevant today. As modern marine ecosystems face unprecedented change, studying ancient predators helps us understand how life responds to pressure, and what may be lost if balance is broken. The monsters of the deep may be gone, but their story continues to shape how we see the world beneath the waves.
Life at the edge of terror. How prey shape the monsters. Apex predators do not evolve in isolation. Every giant hunter of the prehistoric oceans was shaped just as much by what it hunted as by how it hunted. While attention often focuses on teeth, size, and bite force, the evolution of these monsters was driven by an equally important force: prey that fought back, fled faster, or grew larger in response. The prehistoric seas were locked in a constant feedback loop, where predator and prey pushed each other toward extremes. Many prey species developed remarkable defenses. Thick armor, spines, counter-shading, schooling behavior, and sheer size became survival strategies. Ammonites evolved tightly coiled shells capable of withstanding immense pressure, while some fish developed reinforced scales and bony protrusions. Marine reptiles such as plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs grew larger and faster, not only to hunt, but to avoid being hunted themselves. Each evolutionary step taken by prey demanded a response from predators. Larger jaws, stronger muscles, sharper senses. This arms race fueled the rise of super predators across multiple eras. Dunkleosteus's bone-crushing plates likely evolved in response to heavily armored fish. Mosasaurs developed flexible skulls to swallow large prey whole, bypassing armor entirely. Megalodon's serrated teeth were perfectly adapted for slicing through whale blubber and bone, a response to the increasing size and durability of marine mammals. In this way, the monsters of the deep were not anomalies, they were solutions to very specific ecological challenges. Another overlooked aspect is the role of fear in shaping marine ecosystems. Modern studies show that the presence of large predators can dramatically alter prey behavior, migration patterns, and even feeding habits. Similar landscapes of fear likely existed in prehistoric oceans. Entire regions may have been avoided by smaller animals during certain seasons, while nurseries in shallow waters became refuges from roaming giants. These behavioral shifts influence nutrient cycles, population distribution, and long-term evolutionary trends. Energy demands also place strict limits on gigantism. Being massive required constant access to food, meaning giant predators could only exist where prey density was high. This explains why many of the largest marine predators lived during periods of peak ocean productivity. When food supplies declined, even the most fearsome hunters struggled. Fossil evidence suggests some giants experienced slower growth, malnutrition, or reduced reproductive success toward the end of their reigns, early warning signs of extinction. Importantly, not all giant predators were equally aggressive. Some may have relied on ambush and efficiency rather than constant pursuit. A single successful hunt could sustain a massive animal for weeks. This strategy reduced energy expenditure and allowed giants to persist even when prey was less predictable. Such behavioral flexibility may explain why some lineages lasted millions of years while others vanished quickly. The extinction of these monsters reshaped the oceans in profound ways. When apex predators disappeared, prey populations exploded, leading to overgrazing, reef collapse, and ecosystem instability. Eventually, new predators evolved to restore balance, but the transition periods were often chaotic. This pattern mirrors modern concerns about the loss of top predators today and highlights the critical role they play in maintaining healthy ecosystems. There is also growing interest in how sound and sensory perception influenced ancient predation. Water transmits vibrations efficiently, and many marine predators evolved acute sensitivity to pressure changes and low-frequency sound. Predatory whales likely used early forms of echolocation or acoustic tracking, while sharks relied on electroreception to detect hidden prey.
These invisible senses gave predators an edge far beyond what teeth and size alone could offer. The prehistoric oceans were not just violent, they were intelligent, reactive systems. Every adaptation triggered a counter-adaptation, every extinction created opportunity, and every giant was both hunter and hunted at some stage of life. The true horror of ancient seas lies not in any single creature, but in the relentless efficiency of evolution itself. As research continues and new fossils emerge, our picture of these ecosystems grows more detailed and more unsettling. The oceans were once arenas of constant pressure, where survival meant becoming faster, stronger, smarter, or bigger than everything else around you. Megalodon, impressive as it was, represents only one moment in this ongoing evolutionary experiment. Before it and after it, the seas forged countless other titans, each perfectly adapted to their time, each ultimately temporary. The legacy of these predators is a reminder that dominance in nature is never permanent, and that the deep has always been a place where only the most adaptable survive. If you want to dive deeper into the forgotten monsters of Earth's past, explore more articles, documentaries, and fossil discoveries, and share this story with others who think Megalodon was the only giant that ever ruled the deep, the ancient oceans still have many secrets waiting to be uncovered.